Giygas, also known as Geeg in Earthbound Beginnings, is an alien who was raised from infancy by a woman named Maria and her husband George after they were abducted from Earth in the early 1900s. During their time with the aliens, George secretly studied their psi abilities without permission and eventually returned to Earth alone. The couple had raised the young Giygas as their own child, and he developed a deep bond with Maria. However, due to George's betrayal, Giygas was eventually ordered by his people to prevent humans from using psi against them. Although Giygas was reluctant to betray those who had cared for him, especially Maria, he was compelled to attack Earth to recover the knowledge George had taken. Ultimately, Giygas had to sever his connection with Maria and start preparing for the invasion of Earth. 80 years later, the invasion begins, and Giygas encounters Maria and George's great-grandson, Ninten, along with his friends. Giygas' influence spreads across the land, causing inanimate objects to come to life, animals to become aggressive, and strange aliens to appear on Earth. In the final battle, Giygas, still deeply affected by his separation from Maria, offers Ninten a chance to return with him to his home planet. Ninten, however, refuses, and Giygas continues his attack. Overpowered, Ninten and his friends resort to singing a lullaby that Maria once sang to Giygas, awakening buried memories and emotions in him. The guilt and love he feels for Maria weakens Giygas, forcing him to retreat, though he promises Ninten that he will return. Many years later, in 1990X, Giygas returns to Earth as the main antagonist in Earthbound, now vastly different from his form in Earthbound Beginnings. In the future timeline, Giygas has already conquered Earth, casting it into darkness. However, after discovering the Apple of Enlightenment, which foretells his defeat at the hands of a boy named Ness, Giygas decides to travel back in time to prevent this prophecy from coming true. In the present day, his malevolent influence begins to spread across Eagle Land, particularly affecting Ness's neighbor, Pokey Minch. Consumed by jealousy of Ness, Pokey becomes one of Giygas' primary agents in the battle against him. Already unstable from the guilt of losing Maria, Giygas wields such overwhelming evil power that it eventually consumes him, obliterating his mind and reducing him to something beyond human comprehension. Giygas transforms into an entity of pure evil. As Pokey Minch describes, he is the evil power. Devoid of rational thought, Giygas becomes erratic and uncontrollable. To manage this, Pokey seals him within the Devil's Machine, a device designed to contain Giygas' immense power and preserve what little remained of his mind. During the final battle, Pokey reveals that Giygas is no longer aware of himself or his actions, referring to him as an almighty idiot. With his newly acquired cosmic power, which he is unable to control, Giygas becomes a dire threat to the very existence of the universe. To counter this, one of the few beings to escape destruction in the future, an alien insect named Buzzbuzz, travels back to 1990X. Buzzbuzz warns Ness of the impending catastrophe and gives him the Sound Stone, instructing him to gather the 8 melodies. Sound familiar? In order to harness the Earth's power and become strong enough to confront Giygas. Giygas' dark influence is felt across the land, manifesting in the form of enemies that Ness encounters. Now embodying the entirety of evil in the universe, Giygas manipulates the malevolent thoughts of living beings, both human and animal, and even alters the forms of inanimate objects, like before. Ness and his friends, prophesied as the Chosen Four, are forced to leave their physical bodies behind and journey into the past to face Giygas in the cave of the past. In the climactic battle, Giygas is initially contained within the Devil's Machine, which was created to control his overwhelming power. However, during the fight, Pokey deactivates the machine, unleashing all of Giygas' chaotic power. The world around them warps into a chaotic and bizarre dimension of darkness. Giygas' attacks become unpredictable and incomprehensible, his speech fragmented and nonsensical. Although he is far too powerful to be defeated by conventional means, Ness and his friends ultimately prevail when Paula calls upon the people of Earth to pray. including the player themselves. The collective prayer reaches Giygas, exploiting his one weakness, the human emotions that once weakened him in Earthbound Beginnings. Overwhelmed, Giygas is shattered and reduced to nothingness, erasing his apocalyptic future from existence.